Nothing on this show is authorized by the Food and Drug Administration, and nothing said here is intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease. Contact your physician before starting a diet or exercise regimen, including supplementation. This is not medical advice and is for entertainment purposes only.
Those two red. Here it is. That's my training music.
There we go. Mark Glazier on the Supp Works podcast. We just happened to be in New Jersey. Thank you for inviting us down here. Let us come up here, actually.
It's been a fun trip.
So Mark
Just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pull that mic up to you for a little bit so we can hear you. Or you can hold it. There you go.
Gotta be like a fist away.
Yeah.
And then you'll sound like you're on NPR.
Yeah.
You've always wanted to be on NPR, right?
Yeah, Howard Stern style.
Nah.
Mark Glazier, CEO, founder of NutraBio. So is it NutraBio, the manufacturing company, the brand, and there's Endurelite, and then there's Unbound?
So NutraBio is the brand and the manufacturing.
Okay.
So that's the overall company.
Uh-huh.
And then Unbound is now a brand within NutraBio.
Okay.
So it's like our professional series.
I see.
And then Endurelite is a completely separate brand for endurance athletics.
And are they all different companies? Or are they all just like subsidiaries?
Everything's one company except Endurelite. That's a separate company.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to know. Thank you for having us here to New Jersey. It's my first time in New Jersey. Never been here before.
Well, you're missing a lot.
Dude, I missed out on like all the food. Like we had cheesesteaks last night, and that was totally awesome. And then your guys just took us over to this Italian joint down the street.
Do you have pizza?
No, we had pasta.
Oh, no. You're in Jersey. You have to have pizza.
Well, we tried to get pizza.
Right there, Josanna's. It's one of the best pizzas around.
They were closed.
They were close.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We'll do it later.
It's what happens when you try to eat lunch at like 2:30. People
Well,
are
we're gonna
like,
have to take you down.
Nobody comes in at 2:30.
We're gonna have to take you down to the shore.
Yeah,
Because
for
you
sure.
can't experience
Fuck yeah.
New Jersey without the Jersey Shore.
We're here till Sunday.
There we go.
I'm down. So let's get into a little bit of the Mark Glazier NutraBio origin story. You kind of gave us a little bit of a tour earlier, and for anyone listening to this podcast, they have a new HQ, which they actually just built out, which
That's
is
where we are.
It's beautiful. We're in the conference room. It's huge. The conference room is. And it's a full new, really modern build out where this was an older building, right?
Yeah.
And
We gutted the whole place and started from scratch pretty much.
So it was just like completely empty.
Yeah.
Just from the ground up. Because even the framing and everything is,
Oh, no, it's all new.
yeah.
Gutted it completely.
All the windows are all like nice and modern and stuff
Everything.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. So congrats.
Thank you.
And you guys are growing like crazy.
And now you're having podcasts in your brand new conference room.
Yeah, I mean, I love your equipment. I'm already yelling at my guys. We don't have, all these flashy lights and buttons in ours.
Or this
we gotta-
beautiful foliage.
We got to upgrade, yeah. NutraBio goes natural.
So talk to us about like back in the 90s when you got into this and like what made you want to get into this?
So I started out as a martial artist, and I started training when I was a young kid, 6, 7 years old. So that's all I've ever done. I've done that and supplements. So originally I had all these karate schools through New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and that was my whole life. And I started doing supplements and nutrition back in those days as well. So that was in the 70s, 80s, up to like 86. So I got heavily into diet, nutrition, and how to use supplements to enhance performance in martial arts. We had weightlifting gyms in our schools, which was unheard of back then. Everybody thought if you did weight training, you'd lose your flexibility, you'd go slow, and I didn't believe in that. So we were kind of bucking the system. It was karate, martial
So you wanted
arts.
all your martial artists that were in your schools to be jacked as well.
Not jacked, strong.
Bruce Lee.
Strong. So you can use weight training to increase strength without flexibility, without losing flexibility. And that's what I wanted. Nutrition to increase performance.
Yeah.
So that's what started. And eventually I got so much into performance that it kind of took over everything I did. So NutraBio really started kind of in the basement of one of my karate schools.
Yeah.
Officially launched in 1996, but a couple years prior to that, I was already doing protein powders and selling it out of the schools and stuff like that. So at that time, it was called NutraBiotics.
Okay.
That was the whole company name. We kind of shortened it over.
That's a
the
good
years.
shortening.
Yeah.
NutraBio is a fucking awesome name.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for it, why we shortened it. So we launched in 1996, And we started out with about 12 different products, if I remember. And we launched like a lot of companies did. We didn't know really what we were doing. So we went to the contract manufacturers and used their formulators. And we spent, I don't know, 6 months or so designing these formulas and creating these products and launched them. And the company did really well because I had a built-in client base with all the karate studios. Am I close enough to this?
You'll hear yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? That's what I know?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we were doing great. We launched a couple years later. We wanted to reformulate and add some products. And we kind of hit a wall because we had 3 manufacturers that would not give us our formulations. So back in the day, they were in proprietary blends. So we had...
and it's proprietary information.
That's right.
We're not going to give you that as proprietary.
Yeah, I used to think that too. So I used to tell people we have it that way so nobody can copy our formula. So I was being fooled at the time too. And we actually had to sue to try and get those formulas released.
Yeah.
So the bottle would say what the ingredients were, but it would only say the total. It wouldn't tell you the individual dosages. So when we got the first list of formulas, I found out that my products were shit. There was nothing in them. So if there's supposed to be 200 milligrams or something, there could have been 10 milligrams.
The proprietary information is how much they're fucking you.
The ingredients that were dirt cheap were at the top of the list, and the expensive ones were at the bottom, which doesn't necessarily mean something because the dosage might be a microgram dosage. But in this particular case, all my products were just so underformulated that they were useless.
So what year was this when this happened?
That was noticed about 1998 when we started really looking into it.
So like 2 years into it.
Yeah, 2.5 years in. And it took a while because we didn't really know what the dosages were. We had to start doing a lot more research. Mm-hmm. And back then, we laughed about this earlier, the internet wasn't really around.
Yeah.
So you couldn't go and look at competitors' formulas. We had to go to GNC and buy thousands of dollars worth of products.
And all that was proprietary back then.
Right.
We were talking about this earlier. Proprietary blends were in solid existence up until probably like the late 2000s.
Yeah, everything was, except diet vitamins and minerals and stuff like that, which are forced to, by the FDA to have the dosages on there. But everything else was just proprietary blends.
So you're selling mostly exclusively through the karate gyms?
No, that was the start of it, but we sold a lot through... Believe it or not, doctors' offices was a huge part of it.
Really?
So now we're selling these products for brain function. We had the actually first nootropic in the sports supplement industry called Neurogen back in 1996.
Oh, wow.
With vidpocetine, huperzine, some really cool ingredients that are out there now, but back then they weren't even used. So
some of them you can't even use anymore.
That's true.
Were you doing like the research on this, or were you relying mostly on co-man?
Actually, that particular one we did the research on with a pharmacist. Nice. So that was kind of my cool formula that I did. And that was listed on the label with those ingredients, which was ginkgo, vidpocetine, and huperzine, just because we came up with that cool formula and had to get huperzine into the country, which wasn't here, but not for any other reason. We didn't know the difference. But then the contract manufacturer added to that. So then there were more sections with like 20 other ingredients, and those were eventually found to be totally underdosed. But that product I actually kept on the market a little longer because those main ingredients were there in the full dosages. So I spent from 1998 to around 2000 just learning the industry. Mm-hmm. And it was difficult because you couldn't find stuff online.
Not
so
really.
You had to visit, you had to meet with formulators and contract manufacturers and scientists and everybody out there. So at the time, we were headquarters out in New York. And I moved the company here into New Jersey, where I lived, in 2001. And that's about the time where I finally decided that it was a time for a change. I did all the research I could. I saw that my supplements had some major problems in it. And literally in one weekend, we opened our doors and we destroyed about 90% of all of our products.
Everything that you had in inventory?
In 2001 dollars, it was about almost $300,000 worth of inventory.
That's not cheap back then.
Destroyed in a weekend. Put in, I think it was, 12, 15 dumpsters, and poking them with ice picks and filling water on top so nobody could go and get them. And it was Roberto and me, and we started the whole company. Oh, no, Roberto wasn't there that year. We started the whole company over again, and I think I had 26,000 square foot facility back in 2001 and 20 some odd employees.
All right, folks, this episode is brought to you by the Future Nutra Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization for the nutraceutical industry. Imagine a world where every dietary supplement you take is safe, effective, and scientifically validated. At the Future Nutra Foundation is not just a dream, it's our mission. We're dedicated to transforming the nutraceutical industry through rigorous scientific research, comprehensive education, and unwavering advocacy for public health and safety. But we can't do it alone. Your support can make a real difference. With your donation, we can drive innovation, ensure regulatory compliance, and provide the public with the reliable information that they need to make informed health choices. Join us in our quest to create a healthier tomorrow. Visit futurenutra.org and make your donation today. Together, we can build a future where trust in dietary supplements is a given, not a question. The Future Nutra Foundation, science, safety, and a healthier tomorrow. Thank you for your support.
And 6 months later, I had a 10 by 15 foot storage bin with just me, one employee.
So a complete reset.
Not purposely. I didn't think we'd die that much, but with nothing to sell but like
yeah.
creatine, with straight creatine and glutamine and stuff like that. Yeah, we went all the way down.
So what was the primary motivation behind that? Is that my name is behind this? Is it strictly quality, or did you feel bad about the customer? Or
It's, I'm not going to put my name on something that I'm not going to take myself, that I wouldn't give to my family. That's what my dad taught me. He said, what you do when you're in business is take care of the customer. If you do nothing better than that, and you watch your accounting to make sure you can keep the books correct, everything will come around. And that's what my whole life was about, not compromising on the product. And what I had is all these products out and all these karate schools that knew me and my own students, and it was like 3 generations of my students were taking my supplements and they believed in me.
I'm sure you were taking them for a pretty good amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I find out that it's all like snake oil. It was just useless. And that was literally like one of the worst days of my life that week, because I found out people were trusting me and I was giving them just pure shit.
And it's also like a pretty easy kind of like, you're just changing your mind. Be like, well, I'm not interested in taking snake oil anymore. And you're like, I'm going to get rid of all this and I'm going to start something and I'm going to take some stuff that's not.
Right. It was a major change. The only reason we didn't go bankrupt is I couldn't even afford to do so. But when I kind of relaunched, that's when I made the commitments of no proprietary blends. So we would never have an ingredient on a label that was an active ingredient without the actual dosage. We actually now even list the inactives in their dosages.
Yep.
We created the concept of full therapeutic dosages. So if we had an ingredient in there, we put the real dosage in there. Got rid of all excipients and fillers in our products, and then started manufacturing, because at that time I realized there were so many issues with products. And in that 2-year span that I was looking at it, I started by testing creatine, and some of the creatine that we're getting in was coming out at 80% creatine. I never thought to test this stuff, years before that, 90%. It's all kind of cleaner now, but back then it was like, it was a wild, wild west.
People were getting away with selling whatever they could.
Exactly.
And I mean, qualitatively, yeah, it could be creatine, but then who knows what the moisture content is.
Oh, it was just, there were fillers in there. It wasn't just a little extra moisture of a few percent. There were fillers in a lot of products back then. What you were getting in from China, nobody was testing. The distributors weren't testing. The vendors weren't testing. It was just coming in, and whatever you got, you got. So
is that why you started testing your stuff, just to know sort of what you were buying? And
well, that's why I started manufacturing,
Yeah.
because I wanted to control the whole process. So I started to learn, and so we talked about earlier, they have manufacturers, and they're manufacturing the ingredients, and they're skipping things along the way, and they cheat a little, and they find a way to make a little extra money, and they sell to the distributor when it gets into the country, and the distributor starts to do things. We caught distributors who are taking those ingredients and putting fillers into them. Outside of the manufacturer, so you have that level, then that goes to a contract manufacturer. These guys could be seedy and doing something, and then it gets to a brand, and they could be doing something. So you have all these
There's
levels.
so many layers of betrayal of trust that can happen.
Exactly. And I looked at all that and said, okay, we're going to manufacture. I want to control the quality from, the beginning of the raw material and right to the finished product.
And how do you do that? You were explaining it earlier today, and it's very robust.
You got to build a lot of pieces.
Very elaborate.
You do. Well, you start with your formula, obviously, and you want to create a formula that is effective and follows the promise that you're going to give a customer, right? So if you make a promise to them that this product is going to do something, then your formula better damn well do that. So you have to have a phenomenal formula. But now if you don't, once you have that, you have to follow through with the ingredients and the manufacturer. Any of those steps could destroy it.
Yeah.
So you've got to source ingredients. You've got to test those ingredients. So in our facility, we come up with the formula, we get the ingredients. If they're not ingredients we use, then we have to source those. We have to find the manufacturer. We have to qualify the manufacturer. We have to get samples in. We have to test those samples, get all our specifications that we require for those to come in. And once that all passes, then a purchase order can be placed.
I like having this conversation because I feel like it's a positive reality check for anyone who's watching who's like, I'm going to start a supplement company. And it's like, they have no idea all the different things they need to do.
And the barrier to entry is simple. You start a website, everything looks legit. You call a manufacturer, minimum MOQs, 500, and you're in business and everything looks good.
But as a brand, they are liable for like all these different checks and stuff that you are doing.
Yes.
It is on them that they do need to have like third-party testing on at least their finished products, and most of them have no idea that exists.
No.
So you have testing on the raw material.
Yeah, so once we bring it in, we test every single batch, which is not required by the FDA.
What's that machine that you have that you were showing earlier?
FTNAR. So that's a system that's used to test for what's known as identity. So the FDA requires that every ingredient comes in before you can use it in production, that you have to test it for purity, potency, composition, and identity. But it only requires identity on every batch. And identity could be as simple as, like I said, if you're putting lettuce in your product, you have a picture of a head of lettuce. Yep, that's good. That's identity.
Yeah.
Of course, it's different for us because it's all powder, so we have to use a more scientific approach. So we use FTNAR, Fourier transfer spectroscopy, and that's how we tested to prove. And that took us a couple of years to build those libraries and $500,000 back years and years ago of investment to be able to do that.
Yeah, people probably don't understand. When you get testing done, you have to have a standard and a library of standards.
And a method.
And a method,
right.
yeah. And that requires substantial, one, time, but two, the just investment of doing that. And then in some cases with some ingredients, it's not like it's just all that available.
No. So we don't do all of our testing in-house. So our promise to our customers is third-party testing.
Right.
So we do qualitative testing, and FTNR, for our basis, is qualitative. We're just looking and saying, yep, this is creatine monohydrate. Once we know that it's creatine, then we send it out to a third-party lab. And that's where we do the testing for purity, potency, for every single batch. So we want an assay of that creatine. Our minimum spec for that is 99.98. If it's anything lower than that, it doesn't go past the front door. So we quarantine that product. We test it in-house qualitatively. We do identity testing. We do organoleptic testing on it, particle size, smell, color, and stuff like that. Third-party lab then tests every single batch. Once that batch is approved by our QA department, then it can be released from a separate warehouse into our production warehouse.
Okay.
And the FDA doesn't require that purity and potency testing on every batch. So the industry standard is test 3 batches coming in.
Yep.
Check that against the specifications on the manufacturer's C of A. If it all matches, then you can order for the next year, year and a half. But we don't trust that.
Skip lot.
Right.
Yeah, we don't allow that. We test every batch because we want to make sure that nobody's playing games. It could be a mistake, a legitimate mistake to come in. And we've had that. We had I don't know, 2 or 3 pallets of leucine come in one day, and we took the samples, identified it, and we sent it out for testing. In the interim, when I went out for testing, it came back at the potency we needed, the purity we needed it, but we took the rest of those barrels and we put them through FTNIR, and we found out we had 7 barrels of isoleucine labeled as leucine.
Oh, wow.
So
Just mislabeled?
Whoopsie.
well, it came in from China. The labels fell off. The distributor said, "Oh, it's right near the leucine. Let's just put a leucine label on it."
I see.
So we would have had our BCAs being leucine, valine, isoleucine, valine without leucine in some.
Did you reach back out to that distributor and be like, hey, guess what?
So when something like that happens, you have to determine if it's a manufacturer or the distributor's fault because you're going to disqualify them. So for that distributor who brought it in to sell to us again, they would have to show us the problem to the cause, which they did. They just were stupid and put a label on it. They'd have to show how they created SOPs to prevent that from happening, retrain their staff and sign off, which they never did, so we never purchased from them
Surely,
again.
like Billy, the new guy in the warehouse who didn't know what he was doing, probably got fired over something like that.
Yeah, we don't know. We never used them again.
You just disqualified them, and that's that.
Not the manufacturer, because we found out it wasn't their fault. So the manufacturer we were still using after.
So it was the second hand who was just like, surely that had to cause like a problem with their inventory. It'd be like, all of a sudden now we're missing XYZ amounts of isoleucine when it should be leucine that's missing.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we finish a product, we do a finished product testing. So we also send it out for third party.
Yeah.
And then we put that analysis online. So if I have that product and I'm expecting leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and I have isoleucine, and valine, it's going to fail the final product
And it's a
specification.
total bummer because leucine does most of the legwork.
Exactly. So we've had hundreds of issues like that over the years.
One of the things I think is really interesting is finding manufacturers who are like, oh, we never have any problems, or at least someone who represents like a manufacturing place and like, oh, we never have any problems. It's like if you are serious about being in this business, you've run into stuff like your isoleucine issue. Right. It happens all the time, and I think like how you can judge a good manufacturer is how they run into situations like that and how they deal with situations like that. And that shows like the true flex of like your QA QC department, all your SOPs, because all that stuff clicks into place once something's out of spec and you end up returning the material. You end up either getting, that money back, or they end up swapping it out for the right material or something, or you disqualify them, like in this case.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have critical control points along the way. Yeah. You have SOPs. For people who don't know what that is, a standard operating procedure. So for every single procedure we have in this company, which are hundreds, we will have a written procedure that's version controlled. Every single employee of the company who does any operation in the company has to be trained on that particular SOP, and that's done on an annual basis. And anytime we change that SOP in the slightest bit, there's a new version, everybody has to be retrained, it's logged, the trainers are trained, it's a whole operation. But the idea is if you can put in these SOPs and you can manufacture from start to finish the same way every single time, then you should have the same product every single time.
Right. Less variables of mistakes happening.
Right.
Which we noticed, like, even when we were walking through your facility and you were explaining, like, blending methods. Mm-hmm. Like, you have very elaborate and specific blending methods.
And pre-blending.
Yeah. Which I thought that was kind of amazing, because I've been to lots of manufacturing facilities and I've never once heard that.
Yeah, and during COVID, a lot of companies figured they could blend their own products and bottle their own products if they put blenders in their warehouse. Yeah. But blending a product is all about engineering that product. People don't realize that. You can't just take the powders, throw them in a blender. You've got to make sure that you have the right densities in that blender. You have the right fill space for that blender to actually do the operation that it's supposed to do. And if you don't, you won't have a blend. If you blend too short, no good. If you blend too long, you segregate blended product back into its individual ingredients. Mm-hmm. If your maintenance on your machinery is wrong and you created a blend time that you engineered for 13 minutes and you have it maintained and it's slower and it's RPMs, then you are under blending or over blending. So you've got to make sure particle sizes match so it doesn't segregate as it comes out of the blender. There's so much engineering, and sometimes we have to use an outside engineering firm to test those particles and make sure that they're going to work together. We'll have to do milling and other operations. So it's not just throwing stuff in a blender, hitting a button, and going.
You ever thought about getting your own miller over here?
Our own.
Mill?
Well, we have milling.
You do have milling?
Yeah, we do milling here.
I didn't see the milling.
Yeah, we do.
That's pretty dope.
We can do granulation, too.
I didn't know that either.
Yes. On a small
scale. For those of you at home
too.
who don't understand what milling and granulation is, it's kind of like doing the opposite in two different directions. It's where you take particles that are of different sizes and you homogenize them into one particle size. Or granulation is where you create a particle of smaller particles. These are cool because it can affect like your absorption rate and all that stuff. If you have a smaller particle, it has more surface area and it can absorb on your tissues. But granulation, you can make all kinds of different stuff. Like what's like a case where you've done granulation on something?
Just taking ingredients that don't blend together well. And
for,
not even what you were talking about.
Like
just
properties,
we'll separate in a container over a period of time, and trucks are getting to the customer, and we will granulate that. So you're basically taking it, putting it in a liquid form, letting it harden in this case, and then you're granulating it down, so now it's one. Molecularly, you're not bonding it together, so you're not changing that. You're combining them, putting them together, changing the surface area, like you're saying, so you can get a lot out of it that way, and doing a lot of the stuff you said. So we don't do a lot of that. We will send some of that out, but we have that capability in house.
That is pretty cool. It's a good flex.
Yeah, y'all do have a lot of flexes, which y'all don't. which you're kind of humble about. I'm going to be honest, because so check yoursupps.com. Probably one of the coolest things in the supplement industry. People need to know more about it. Like the how do you do it, for one? That's crazy. But the only way you could do it is possibly if you have your own manufacturing, but you have to have all the controls and SOPs in place and all the data points at all.
Absolutely.
Because if anything goes wrong, what I learned is like from the moment that it enters to when it becomes a finished good, there's hundreds of variables, and there's hundreds of SOPs, thousands of SOPs for every one of those variables.
Yeah, if you remember a few years back, that contract manufacturing firm, what was it called?
The ABH Pharma.
Was that it?
Was the one in New York, right?
No, that was different. They got nailed by the FDA, and it was a contract manufacturer.
Yeah.
And they had forced the recall of like 1,600 products manufactured over the last 5 or 6 years, which is most of all the brands that we know out there were caught in that. I would say not their fault. The contract manufacturer, screwed up their products, but the brand is responsible for everything. So CFR 111 is a federal regulation that covers the manufacture, packaging, labeling of all products. If you use a contract manufacturer, there's a pass-through. The contract manufacturer is responsible for that. They have to live up to CFR 111, GMPs, good manufacturing practices. But then the brand who's just getting it shipped to them has to be able to prove all of that CFR 111 out. You can't blame it on your contract manufacturer. Your contract manufacturer will get in trouble, and you'll get closed down too, or you'll get a warning. Or
you can't wait until you get in trouble and then just go basically telling mom, go into your contract manufacturer and be like, they say I'm in trouble. What's going on? And usually contract manufacturers in a case like that are like, we're not going to give you anything. We're not going to give you any records. Like, who are you again?
Yeah, and by the way, there's amazing contract manufacturers now.
Yeah.
Without contract manufacturers, this industry does not exist because you can't have a brand to go into manufacturing now.
No.
The laws, the regulations, everything is so involved, you couldn't do it. So I put down some of the older ones, and like this company, ABH I think it was called, where they just screwed hundreds of clients, literally. The good point about that is it made all the brands aware. All the brands started to go crazy. Holy crap, we're going to have to do a recall. We're going to have to go crazy. I got calls all day for weeks.
Yeah.
And we started working with a lot of these companies and showing them what they had to do and how they had to watch things and go and investigate and audit their own manufacturers. The bad part about it is the FDA never followed through on any of those recalls. So the whole industry went crazy for about 6 months, realized that nothing was going to happen and said forget about it and didn't do anything about it.
We have this conflict between our podcast, the dogma of supplements, and like policy, policing, and right and wrong, white hat, black hat. So what are your thoughts on like this? I know obviously you're sort of like an influencer of all that is good in this industry at this point. But what do you think about like bad players and stuff like that?
Everybody attacks our industry as being all bad players. Our industry is no different than any other industry.
Yeah.
Great players, good players, and there will always be bad players, and we'll never get rid of them. I think the trend over the last 10, 15 years has been toward better players. A lot of the guys were in the Wild West and didn't give a shit about anything. We're putting all these prop blends out, and everything was margin-based, and they didn't care about anything. Were replaced by a lot of people who grew up in those firms and started opening their own their own companies, and they really cared about products. They were athletes themselves, they were bodybuilders or whatever they were doing, and they created brands that they tried to take a step further from it. So I think the industry is going in the right way. So back in 2001, when we started the concept of no prop blends, probably 99% of all sports supplements were proprietary blends. And we fought that battle for years and years and years. I did over 1,100 lectures on understanding labels for all those years. And now, I don't know the number, but I'd say 70% of dietary of sports supplements are now no proprietary blend.
Now it's
partial
like,
proprietary.
it's like a standard.
It's turned around, and everybody's using that as marketing.
It became a liability for those people in the past who thought it was like an asset, that it was something that was good and like mysterious and magical. It's like what made their formula unique, and all of a sudden with that going away, it made them look like an asshole or an idiot.
Yeah.
Either one.
So for a couple years while you're doing this, you think people like chastise you? Or?
For 5 years we were just made fun of, everybody.
Why? Because they were like, you're giving up your secret sauce, all that?
You're giving up your secret sauce. Well, no, we're not. Anybody can test your product. If you're putting it on your label, it goes to the lab, they can test it. So there's nothing that my competitors can't get out of my products by testing it. But everybody said we were making it up. It was just marketing campaign. We really couldn't do it. It'd be too expensive to do it. Therefore, we're cheating anyway. I mean, we got a tax on everything.
Yeah.
But, we weren't really marketing against anybody else. All we were doing is our own thing.
Yeah.
All we cared about is not compromising on anything.
And that's your competitive advantage in the marketplace.
It is. I mean, a lot of people now use it as a marketing campaign, but it isn't. You can't use it. Nobody's buying your product because it's a no-prop blend.
Yeah.
They're buying your product for other reasons.
Yeah.
That's just one of the legs, the foundations of what makes your brand a good brand.
Right.
And you have to have that. You have to have, that allows a check system, because all the bloggers, podcasters, guys like you that are out there will look at those formulas and they'll see a non-prop blend. And I remember in bodybuilding.com had a product that was a no prop blend. All they were talking about, no prop blend on this product. And the aminos were 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams. And people didn't notice because
it's a step in the right direction.
It was a step. Now they're telling everybody, but the consumer didn't notice. But all the podcasters and everybody blogging started to notice that. So there's a whole re-education of of even the consumer. They don't know all the stuff. They're not going to look at the ingredients and say, oh, that's off by 10. They don't know any of that shit, right? But it's on the labels now, so somebody is going to hold you accountable. I guess that's not even true. If you look at pre-workouts, everybody knows not everybody, but
it's getting there.
We need this citrulline, we need 3.0 beta-alanine. They know a lot of that stuff.
Do you think it's kind of neat that you had an impact on changing the industry in that way, to where like people now critically look at each of these products and they're going to get upset when they don't get a full clinical dose of beta-alanine?
I love it. I mean, it's really cool. And by the way, we say we started this, like we actually coined the phrase "no proprietary blends" back in 2001 that everybody uses.
Yeah.
But I say that because we're proud of the fact that we made a change. But every company that uses it now, I'm not saying we did it first, you don't count. I'm so proud to see how many other companies are doing it. And we helped hundreds of companies along the way. We went in and retrained them.
Got to be the change you want to see in the world.
You know, I'm not looking to hurt other companies. I've been looking at this industry the same way. The pie is this big.
Yeah.
I don't want a piece of your pie. Let's make the industry better. Let's make our products better. Let's get rid of the marketing scams. Let's grow that pie bigger and bigger, and we all get better. So I've always worked with other brands and worked with companies that are my competitors. My competitors are allowed to walk in here anytime, and I'll give them a tour.
Have you ever considered contract manufacturing for somebody else?
We have over the years, but just for some friends of mine who I helped out. But it's not my business, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to make other people's products. You know, I want to make my own products. I want to focus on what I do and what
And it's
I do
kind of a
best.
pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's a totally different business.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you'd ever done that before, because like you do represent like some of the best of us, and it made me wonder if anyone's ever approached. It's like, you know, if I could just get Mark Glazier to make my products.
We get 3 or 4 requests a week.
Yeah.
To manufacture for them. Yeah.
You know,
But you have plenty of things to make. Like, you guys stay busy.
Yeah,
Like,
we have over 300 SKUs.
and you're growing.
Yeah.
You said you're trying to grow into more shifts, and you need larger facilities, and you're doing some expansions.
You know, we redo our facilities about every 5 years. So right now we're going through a whole shift. So the reason we have this new headquarters is we needed space for manufacturing. So the facility over there, it's 57,000 square feet. We've been in there for years. So now we've taken it. So we used to have 5,000 square foot of warehouse over there that was distribution, warehouse, and in process. Now we have a 30,000 square foot distribution center. We just put in a 30,000 square foot raw material center, which preps the raw materials and gets them ready to go in.
Yeah.
The office is out of there. So that 57,000 is just manufacturing, not warehousing for finished products, not warehousing for raw material. And now we're reworking that whole facility to get us to the next level in advance of when we need it.
does it make you kind of wonder, like, once you're through this transition of growth that you're in right now, and you've got all that fully manufacturing over there with your new warehouses and all that, and this new headquarters, and you're wondering, how many years is it going to be until I have to do this again?
5 more years.
In the old days, it was a guess, total
Yeah.
guess, you know. But these days, we're working with outside firms and engineers that are coming in, looking at everything we do, because it's a whole support system. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting in a whole new protein packaging line. Okay, that's easy to do, but how are you going to support it with blending? So I have to put in new blenders to support the new packaging. Well, if I have new blending, how do I support that with warehouse space and buy all those ingredients and bottles? So I have to put in more warehousing for raw material, and everything gets built. And I need a bigger lab to test. So you have
This is
to
going
look
to
at
boost your
everything.
demand more and more and more.
well, on the other side, the flip side, you have to have sales guys
Yeah.
out there selling it.
Yeah, we have the best sales team in the industry. They're all here. You guys will meet them.
Yep.
They are phenomenal. We made a decision into brick and mortar stores like 7-8 years ago that we were going to support them full on when everybody was moving away. And over the years, we've just put together the best team out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stores, brick and mortar, mom and pops, where you walk into them and like quarter to half of the stores, NutraBio, like you said, 300 SKUs. And whether they do it by brand or they do it by category, you'll find in every single category 1, if not 2 to 3 NutraBio SKUs.
So, I mean, it's all, I treat everybody, it's like one family here. You know, we walk through encapsulation. I have 3 people over there that have been standing in those encapsulation rooms for 3 years. So I have roughly 100 employees, but it's close to 500 people that count on this company and me for their support, their wives, their family, their children.
Yeah.
And that's something I take extremely serious over here.
Yeah,
That's
the multiple of mouths.
Yeah, like you're talking about the sales guys. So they're out on the road and they're building that brick and mortar. Well, if the company can't support their growth, then they don't have a future, right? And all my sales guys are at that age where they have just getting married and having children. And they're making life decisions. So they have to know that this company is there for them. Just like the customer has to know that this company is there for them and what they're getting. You know, we're not talking about putting paint on your bathroom walls. We're talking about something you're putting in your body. And a dietary supplement or a sports supplement sounds like it's nothing, but it's a drug.
Yeah.
Right? It can mess up your metabolism. It's going to mess up your thinking capacity, your energy levels. It can make you overweight, can make you underweight. No, it really is a drug. It can fuck up with your hormonal balance, right? So you're taking something. Best case scenario, it's fake and it's doing nothing at all. So you're just wasting money. Worst case scenario, there's crap in there that's doing the opposite of what is expected.
Yeah.
You know, if you're expecting to control calories and it's filled with maltodextrin or something that's spiking insulin, all right, so you're going to gain a little fat. But if it's something that's messing up your hormonal balance in your system and your energy levels and your focus and stuff like that, you can have it affects your lifestyle.
You take that stuff seriously.
I do. I won't put anything on the market that my
You
son
care a
would
lot
take.
about your end consumer, and that's with like that check your subs on the back of every label. That's pretty elaborate. Like, how do you manage that?
Well, that's why you saw our lab. It's getting much bigger in this new sizing, but it is really a qualitative lab. Everything we do for the testing quantitatively is done outside of a third party. So we spend a lot of money to ensure that product is what it's supposed to be. So you see the SOPs and the manufacturing and all the things you saw today that we do in the checks and balances and SOPs along the way, make sure we have the product, but it's not just promising our customer, it's verification of it.
Right.
Trust us, but we're going to let you verify that at the same time. You know? Because everybody says their product's great, their product's good, but you have a place.
Very few can actually verify.
Or show the data that prove it.
Well, the fact that you show it and you make it available in public is kind of impressive, because even that takes a infrastructure in order to do. Because you have to take that, then you have to publish it, and you have to have a place for that to live, and it has to be indexed and all that stuff. And you have to be very, very confident that it's right.
Oh, yeah.
So
and now I have to go back to all those SOPs to make sure they're right, because at the end of the line, I'm going to test. I'm not going to let it go because I have to test it and put that up, and people will see it. So if it's bad, it's bad. You know, I got to throw the product out or rework it somehow, which we don't do.
Yeah, I saw one time you like threw a bunch of stuff away. Like, I guess you have to do that pretty often, huh? Every now and then something comes in, you don't like it. And...
No, if we buy it and it doesn't match spec, we send it back. But we might have product ingredients here that are here a little too long or breakdown or something, and we will never utilize that product. So if something's off spec at all, it's gone. So you'll see us dumping dumpsters full of ingredients that didn't meet specification that we had in here longer, or a product that didn't meet spec. We're never going to put it in a product. We're never going to put it on a shelf, you know.
Yeah. Or a label if it's now defunct, you'll have to.
Yeah.
Or sometimes banana protein doesn't move very much, and the banana flavor sits, and it's like, well, wish you did better, banana, but there goes your flavor.
Yeah, bananas more on the consumer end. They'll taste it, won't taste good, but when you take an active, then you're screwing with the result that they're going to get. And, I won't buy. Literally every day we get offers from distributors of off-spec material, close to expired material, right? Because they all buy it. Everybody's manufacturing gets offers every day. Hey, what do you got that you can't use? We'll buy it from you. They're just selling it out there to other manufacturers. We don't use any of that. It's got to be full expiration date. It's got to be full specification. We don't use any off-spec material at all. Because that's your foundation of your product. If your foundation is weak, your finished product is weak.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you care a lot about the consumer, and you care a lot about GMPs and adhering to regulations. How does it make you feel when there's like an article that comes out in a major newspaper or something on TV or somebody on social media that goes and says that our industry isn't regulated?
Oh, God, that drives me crazy. It's usually the media and the politicians. The ones who are most full of shit. So something happens, GNC has a product and it didn't test out to spec. So now all the media says it's the Wild West. We need more. We need more rules. We need more regulations. And then politicians get involved and they fucking scream like crazy. We have to regulate this industry, but they know it's already regulated. CFR 111 is a set of regulations that comes from CFR 211 pharmaceutical, and they're just as strict, in some ways stricter.
Yeah.
Pharmaceuticals allow a deviation for the active. Dietary supplements does not. If I say there's 2 grams of creatine in there, there's got to be 2 grams of creatine. There is no allowance there. So we're even stricter in some ways than pharmaceutical. But then you have these politicians that scream and scream and scream, and the media picks up and they make fun of the industry. It hurts our industry. And then when it all calms down, they don't do a fucking thing about it because it's like you have
There's no
driving down the
policing.
highway, right? And the speeding limit is 65, and there's hundreds of people in the town who are speeding, and the politicians scream, scream, scream. Well, they can't put another speed limit up. It's already there.
Yeah.
And they realize
True.
that. The problem with it, and this is changing. When the FDA when the Congress passed CFR 111, okay, and it was put in back in 2008, they didn't even get around to checking it and auditing for years later. It's grandfathered in, I think, by 2011 or something. And back 2-3 years ago, only 30% of the companies were ever even audited. So Congress wrote all these rules and regulations that were phenomenal. Okay, and I don't like regulations from government, but this I think is really good. But at the time, they put no finance behind it. There was nobody there to do it. It's like putting that speed limit sign up and having no police to
No call.
through.
I don't know. I think it might be partly that, but I also remember like they're hearing a quote that when Deshay, basically the framework for CFR 111 was enacted into law back in '94, that the director of the FDA said that not during his time and as long as he could influence it, that the dietary supplement industry would remain as unregulated as possible in an effort so the worst parts of ourselves could be shown.
I haven't heard that.
I have a direct. I'll send it to
I'd
you.
love to see that. Deshay was real. Everybody's trying to shut down Deshay and rewrite it. I think it's really good the way it is. It's a Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, and people don't realize that prior to 1994 there was no dietary supplement industry. We weren't regulated, or we were regulated as part of a food. And then the FDA came along and said, "No, we're going to regulate you guys as a drug." And that was the next process. Dietary supplements and all these vitamins and minerals said we're becoming a drug, which obviously we'd be out of industry because out of business. We couldn't spend $200 million, trying to prove the product and what it did.
Yeah.
Two senators,
To classify as a
Hatch and somebody
drug.
else came along, and they created the DSHEA, Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, and that's what created our industry, defined what a dietary supplement is, defined what dietary components are, the ingredients that we can use in a supplement, an amino acid, vitamin, mineral, botanical, something that enhances our everyday diet or derivative thereof. So now that's defined everything. It has its problems, but at least we know what we can and can't do. And part of that act defined us as a dietary supplement, not as a drug. So we can't make all these claims that you see companies make out there for a drug.
Were you around this time when DSHEA was being enacted?
I was around. DSHEA was enacted a couple years before we started.
Okay.
So 94 versus 96.
But
I didn't know anything about it till years and years
Oh,
later.
okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were aware of all that while this was going down, or you just later started getting more educated. And
Much later, yeah.
So over the course of the past 20 years, it's just been an exercise, and like anything else, you fail, you succeed, you fail, you succeed. You have to just keep on trying again.
Well, yeah, our whole idea here is, in our concept of not compromising, is to try and create a perfect product. We know we can never do, but it's the pursuit of that perfection that makes us better and better every day. So we said 5 years ago, we're creating the best product we can, but we have found better ways to create it since then. So we're always trying to say, okay, what can we do better? What can we do better? Like the blenders I was talking about.
Yeah.
We'll create a more homogeneous blend for us. So now we can increase quality that way. So the standard that we have when we bought our previous blenders has changed. So we have to upgrade that. So it's always this drive toward perfection. You'll never reach it.
Yeah.
But never to stop pursuing that.
But at the same time, all those things that you're changing, like the different blenders and stuff, and following the regulations makes you a more efficient manufacturer.
Yes.
It actually benefits you in the long run to play by the rules because you're not wasting anything.
Well, yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm building a bigger facility. I'm increasing capacity. When I increase capacity, though, I have to increase efficiency because the customer can't pay for a high price of inefficient.
Right.
But the other side is you always have to increase capacity and efficiency with quality.
Yeah.
Because I can increase efficiency tomorrow real easy without spending a dime on what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But my products are going to be shit. Efficiency does not mean quality. You've got to make sure that your goal is quality first and then capacity and efficiency afterwards.
Yeah. So how much do you do decision makings for economies of scale? Because obviously you have so many checks and balances along the way that incurs much more cost than the regular brand that's going to a co-man is having to incur.
Right.
So you can't overcomplicate things at the same time.
No, you try not to overcomplicate, but manufacturing is a fairly complicated process.
It's very complicated just from your
Yeah.
just walking through and seeing. I mean, it's actually kind of impressive how many moving parts there is and how many people all fall in line to that.
But
Because-
it's a complication that allows you to create the exact product every time, reducing your risk at the end of having a bad product or an off-spec product that you can't use.
So what are some like future goals for NutraBio and stuff? Like what are you all trying to get into?
In what ways?
Like products, maybe like marketing categories, growth as far as your.
We've been told by certain employees here that they really want you to get into the beverage game.
Yeah. Everybody wants that. We're not getting.
I think that might be purely out of self-interest.
Yeah, it would actually save us a lot of money because the amount of those drinks we drink every single.
Oh, I'm
week.
sure.
Yeah.
You probably just need to have a couple pallets that are just like on tap here.
Everybody says that when you're going in here, you're competing against Coke and Pepsi and all those, and we kind of figure we can sell enough or give enough to our employees here with all they take for caffeine to keep their day going. But it's something we might do in the future. It's not now.
Okay.
It doesn't match what we do. Next year is going to be functional foods.
Oh.
So getting into bars and cereals and cake and foods and stuff like that, we're not sure exactly what we're doing, but that's going to be a big expansion for us because I think that goes more along with what we do in trying to give better nutrition and better health to our customer. So that's a big expansion. Our wellness line, we've had wellness from day one. So when we launched those original products, we had an immune product was a part of those 12 products. We had a men health product, a female hormonal product. We had a Neurogen product. So we were always in wellness, although we're known for sports nutrition.
Yeah.
But we probably have, I don't know, close to 70, 80 wellness products. But we have a specialty line coming out that'll be out sometime toward the end of this year. Bone health, brain health, heart health, all of that. That'll be really, really well formulated products.
Yeah.
So that's a big push for this year. So there's a lot of things that we're coming out with. I can't give too much detail. But most of that is in line with what we do now. The big push will be into functional foods next year.
I'm excited about the food because that reaches so many people.
Yeah.
Well, that's just more than just athletes.
Yeah.
But I think just like functional beverage and how that like is like squeezing out sodas and stuff in convenience stores because you see like energy drinks and hydration and protein suddenly taking up more fridge space in like a regular
Yeah,
C-store
it's
than
insane.
sodas.
It's insane.
I think functional foods is going to do the same thing there.
Well, ever since COVID, it's changed our country. All these people who weren't trained, didn't care about health, didn't care about anything at all, were stuck in their houses for a year. And they started to realize, oh, shit, I better do something. And so they're not necessarily going out and joining the gym every day, but it's this new active nutrition that's coming out where people are just getting a little healthier. They care a little, so they're taking a vitamin when they never took before. They're taking a CoQ10 or they're taking a protein powder. They're walking or doing something. It's not necessarily that people are going out gung-ho to the gym or into a sport, but people have just changed and said, I got to be a little healthier. And that's a huge marketplace.
Yeah.
That's changed.
So what about Mark?
Nah.
Who's Mark the guy? Like, he came from karate.
So I did my whole life, yeah.
So martial arts. You're a martial arts
First
guy.
of all,
were you like a
Mark
big,
was in the fucking peak of karate.
Yeah.
The peak of karate back in the mid 90s and stuff. Like, especially being in sports nutrition and karate at the same time.
Well, New Jersey's kind of a
Must have
hotbed
been
for
slaying
both of
it
those
left and
cultures.
right,
I feel like you got like Karate Kid in the '90s.
Yeah, that was a big push in martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's back out and having another push.
Really? Yeah. Well, yeah, with MMA and
Yeah, I started when I was
UFC fighting.
6 years old, so it's been, I'm not going to tell you how many years. But it's been a while.
You got to be in the heyday of it back
Do you
then.
still do any martial arts?
I do. I don't have schools anymore, but I still have students that own schools, and I go out and work with them. And not as much as I used to, not as much as I want to be. But
Yeah.
I still train on regular basis.
Yeah.
That's our motorcycle facility across the street.
Oh, yeah?
They've been my motorcycle mechanic.
I was going to say, I figured you had something to do with those
That's
guys.
what we moved here. They moved down there across the street from us. They fix all my bikes.
Yeah. That's why
How
they,
many bikes
that's why
do
they
you
moved
have?
here.
6 or 7 now,
You have 7?
I think, yeah.
And you just pick different ones for different rides in different places?
Yeah, I keep out in California, a BMW adventure bike, which is like
That's one you go through Death Valley on all the time.
It's like an on-off-road bike. I have a KTM there that's all off-road, so when I go out in the desert, I take that bike. Out here, I have like bar hoppers, choppers, and Harleys and stuff like that, and dirt bikes. So,
When did you get into motorcycles?
at a young age, I started dirt biking on a Suzuki RM80. It's a little teeny bike.
little bike.
Yeah, when I was in, I guess, like junior high school. But it wasn't like trails. We lived in suburbia, so it was running through people's backyards, getting chased by the cops.
Being a menace to society.
Being kind of a menace to society.
What's changed, really?
And when my son got to that age, first thing I did was buy him a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one day I got a call from my ex-wife. It's like, do you know your son is riding that bike in the street? I'm like, what? Yeah, the police are complaining, and he's running through people's backyards. I'm like,
no way.
What? You better stop that. I said, I will stop that right away. I called my son, hey, buddy, you riding your bike in the street? Yeah. What happens when the cop chase you? Oh, I run through the backyards. Good boy. Smart. It's one of my proudest days ever, you know? But that kind of riding, I never did like real off-road riding, but that's changed over the years. I just love it. It's my getaway. So stress can be
overwhelming
with COVID, with supply chain, with all that stuff, with all these issues in the industry, with this Ryan Garcia bullshit. And, you know, I just went like 3 weeks ago, I just took off. I have a bike out in Vegas also, and just went out into Zion National Park and just did like 600 miles on road, 200 miles off road. And I came back from that, I'm just a new person.
Yeah, you know, 200 employees, 500 mouths, you know, it's it's heavy.
Yeah, there's a lot of gears turning.
And you've been doing it for a really long time.
28 years now.
Yeah. You truly are a true gangster.
Yeah, but I love it though. I literally, I quote Warren Buffett on this all the time, where he says he dances to work every day.
Yeah.
Even in COVID, even the supply chain where we were screwed. I mean,
we've never been challenged like that before.
That was a challenge.
Yeah.
We went from like a 90-day manufacturing schedule to a 1 day. Every manager had to sit in front of a board and decide, what can we make today? You know, but it was one of my favorite times in history here.
It's like being in a restaurant. You're like, we've only got this many groceries.
COVID was, you know, one of my favorite times. Came in, are we going to be closed up today? I don't know. Well, let's do this. And it's challenging. That challenge is invigorating to me.
Y'all managed to grow, and I feel like your brand equity value from, you know, put on the map for me.
Yeah, we took off during COVID, during supply chain. You know, we're not that company that.
I don't feel like you took off. You dropped products during COVID.
Well,
When I say took off, but yeah.
Like airplane took off, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rocket
we
ship
launched
took off.
Unbound during COVID. So when everybody was shutting down,
which was an awesome launch.
You did the first response product too for all the people that were frontline workers.
Right.
You were servicing what needed to be serviced at the time.
No, we didn't lay off any staff here.
Yeah.
Did that come at a huge expense?
It did, but it was well worth it. You know, like I said, these people have been with me. My manager's been with me 18, 19 years over here. You know, these people, the whole community is part of the company. So we took the hit, and it paid off at the end because they're all still with us, and you know, it's just a great growing family.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break. We're going to pee. We're going to come back, and I want to get into the juiciness of the Ryan Garcia story when we come back.
What's up, everyone? TK back here. I'm going to talk to you guys about the Supp Works podcast. For everyone that's been listening in since we started this thing in January, I just want you to know that we are so damn delighted to have you guys as listeners. The audience has grown, the engagement has grown, the viewerships have grown. It's been pretty wild to see. But with all this growth, you know, it comes with quite a cost. And that's why the Supp Works podcast is looking for sponsors. Now, we have started off with some sponsors in the beginning, and they were great partners. But to be honest with you guys, I never really charged them because I didn't feel like our audience was large enough to basically pay for whatever cost I was having to expend in doing the podcast. And just so you guys know, these podcasts, they cost a lot of money. We got to fly someone in. We got to put them up in a hotel. We feed them. We usually take them out to some sort of event. It adds up. It costs quite a bit. And we subsidize these costs with sponsorships. So if you own a business, whether it's in manufacturing, you're a raw ingredient supplier, you own a brand, maybe you have some sort of supplement or CPG type service that applies to the supplement industry or the CPG industry as a whole, and you think that our audience, which is usually movers and shakers within the CPG industry, you're talking CEOs, owners of businesses, top sales executives, and then the whole gambit in between super users all the way up into founders of companies basically listen to our podcast. If you think that audience is for you and it would work for your business for us to advertise on this platform, hit us up. Just send us a DM. Send us an email, tk@nutramedia.co, or send Joey a DM, and we can talk about our sponsorship packages. And basically, you get this. You get a 1-minute table read where we talk about your brand, and obviously, this has got to be something that we approve of and we support. But if there is a good partnership there, reach out. Maybe we'd be interested in having you as a sponsor. So if you want to sponsor the Supp Works podcast, just go and hit us up, and you can have your table read right in the middle of the podcast while we do our breaks, just like now. All right, hopping back in. We want to get into some juicy stuff here. So recently in the news, NutraBio has come under, you've just got some exposure from something that you probably completely did not even anticipate happening.
A carb product of all things.
So, and I'll explain.
You want to give the synopsis?
From my optics,
Okay.
and then you can tell me what actually happened. Okay, so there's a professional boxer, right? Mm-hmm. Very famous or recently famous, has a very, very fast up-and-comings, competes in like a world record, I think, as far as money goes, purse fight, makes a ton of money, and then pops hot afterwards for failing a drug test. Right. And this person, at least from what I saw, try to like scapegoat by like basically taking a couple random companies and then throwing them under the bus, saying that I popped hot because of these supplement companies, and one of them just happened to be NutraBio.
Definitely picked the wrong guy on that one.
Yeah, I feel like if there was any person they could have, any other brand they should have done.
They didn't do their homework. Clearly, they didn't do their homework.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do in an event like that? Like, how does that?
I can't say everything that's going on because it's still evolving.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a surprise. You wake up one day and somebody in the office calls you up and says, Ryan Garcia just blamed you for testing positive for a PED. And it's on Fox News, it's on MSN, it's on everything. By the time I got up the next day and just put Garcia NutraBio in, it was all over the place.
Right.
We've never been on.
I would have
that
two
kind of
reactions. I would be like, oh my God. And then like the hairs in the back of my neck would start standing up because like of the excitement, because
the exposure is amazing.
Yeah, but the fact that deep in your heart that this guy is absolutely wrong in his accusation, because you've got it all. You got the documents. You got the testing.
He's like
results.
Alex Jones.
I got all the evidence that you, my famous little friend, are very wrong.
Yeah, but you know what? It's national news.
I know.
So that's
I know.
That's in the back of your head. Wow, what's going on with this? So it's not like if it's something happened in our industry. I've been in this industry 28 years. I know how to control every aspect of it. If there's one brand coming after me, I got that shit down. But now you're talking a fighter who supposedly made $20-30 million a fight, blaming me for that loss of income. And he does fight 2 fights a year. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it definitely was like, whoa, what's this all about? But. We redeemed ourselves in that fairly well.
Yeah, so like what happens in that type of scenario? Like you have retains, obviously.
Well,
there's obviously some things you can't talk about. But
I don't know what he did, so I'm not putting any blame on him.
Yeah.
But the point is, he had a couple supplements on his kitchen counter, and both of those 2 out of them tested positive for ostarine and PEDs, and one of them was ours. So his product had no chain of command.
Right.
It was an open container, sent out to a lab, tested. If you look at the numbers, even if that test was 100% right, it's not enough to change what he had as far as ostarine in his blood level. So there's no science there that said that amount, if it was in my product, would have given him what he had.
Wasn't the amount that was allegedly found in your product like just insanely small?
In the trillions.
Yeah.
Trillions part per gram, right?
It's certainly not a performance-enhancing dose at all.
Right. And it doesn't matter because him as an athlete, there is no minimum. If it's caught in his blood, it's in his blood, he's out, right? So for him, as long as if my product proved to be in there and affected that, but even if it was, it couldn't lift that level. He was 60 times what he should have been. But we tested it, so we sent it to the 2 best labs in the country that are ISO certified to do this type of testing. And I didn't send it to him and say, hey, show that it's not in here. I said, prove that it is in here. I want you to do testing as deep as you possibly fucking can to find out if it's in there. So I challenged the other way. And we got those tests back. And we spent 50, 60 grand on it because we didn't just test that lot. We tested other lots. We tested the raw materials that went into that lot. I mean, we tested everything. And we found out there was nothing in there at all. So we put that out.
So now you got a lot of ammunition.
Yeah, well, I don't know where it's going now, but since we put our findings out, the New York Boxing Association has banned him, has taken away that fight. So now that fight's a no contest fight. I'm not saying that's because of us or whatever, but he's got his own issues.
Yeah.
I don't care about his issues. I just care that I spent a lifetime, building a product line based on efficacy.
Right.
And if somebody's going to challenge that efficacy, then I'm going to make sure that I fight back on that.
For sure.
And we did.
You're very right,
we had the retained samples on it. We had the testing on it. We had the testing on the raw materials. We have the manufacturing documents that follow every SOP, every CFR regulation out there. So, I think he did fuck with the wrong company.
What's up, everyone? TK here with Nutramedia, and today I want to talk about the sponsor, which is us, Nutramedia. As you know, Supp Works is filmed here at our Nutramedia studios in Willis, Texas, and we are a full turnkey design studio. Really what that means is we help brands create their identity systems, their logo, their fonts, their colors, their textures, their patterns, and then apply that to the greater spectrum of their brand. So like their packaging, labels, whether it's bags, boxes, whatever your packaging is, we help design that. We design it for print, and then we take those assets and those ideologies and then build it out so it's scalable for your marketing. That means your merchandising, your promotional needs, your booths, things like that. We're a full turnkey graphic design studio. We have 7 in-house designers, including myself, and we also can do some auxiliary media like editing videos and helping with websites, helping do things like podcasts. So anything in the world of CPG, supplements, packaging design, media, we are your go-to agency for that. You can always contact me directly, tk@nutramedia.co. You can also contact Blair. She helps with our sales, blair@nutramedia.co. And if you're looking to get started on a project, just know that we're very flexible with pricing. We have an hourly buy-in in which we ask people to sort of buy into a retainer. And then once that retainer is met, we're just hourly after that on a month-to-month basis. We're very flexible with most brands. Don't come to me with like a one-off thing. We like to work on larger projects that have continuation over a course of time. We have some clients that we've been working with for well over 3 years, and they ask us to do things for them every single day. And that's really where our bread and butter is being an attachment to your marketing to help you create assets that are high quality at rapid speed so that you can scale your business. That's what Nutramedia is. So if you guys are interested, go to nutramedia.co, no M, nutramedia.co. You can fill out a form, or you can email us directly. You can also just DM us, or you can also find us on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely.
You definitely did. Is there any grounds like countersue or anything like that, or is that all like TBE, or you can't talk about it?
I can't talk about that. But, I'll tell you what the coolest part about this was, and I really sincerely say this, that when it came out, and we didn't say much at all because we had to figure this whole thing out.
Right.
Yeah.
The entire industry backed me.
For sure.
I mean, my competitors, people I didn't even know, some of these guys who were like bodybuilders having these crazy channels with 500,000, 1 million followers I never even heard of, are out there talking about my product and saying there's no way Glazier did this. People backing their reputation on me. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, you got a lot of support.
100% support. And when it came out, the negative, I thought was, okay, I've been talking about quality for 20 some odd years now, posting all this stuff, just pushing the envelope on it. So if something like this is going to happen, like all my enemies are going to be out there tomorrow, and they're going to be like, yeah,
it was the opposite.
Glazier talks about it, but look here, and it was the opposite. So to my industry, to everybody out there, my sincere thanks for that.
Yeah. It's strange, just like an outsider attacked the family for a minute, and it was like everyone just came together. It was like,
well, it's like they
attacked, not this guy.
It's like he attacked the family, but he attacked like the baddest dude.
Oh yeah,
it was like, don't fuck with that guy.
Yeah, the hardest part about it was I felt like a pit bull on a leash.
Right.
Because I couldn't go out there and do what I normally do. It was outside of my realm in this huge industry, so I had to wait and see how everything panned out. So I just wanted to go out there, but and everybody was expecting.
And everyone wanted you to. Everyone wanted you to. We wanted to be like hooting like chimps, swinging from the rafters, ready for you to go at them.
Yeah. Well, we handled it a bit professionally. Not to say that there might not be a video around it so that we didn't publish.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been, yeah. Everyone would have been so ready for that. Be like, go get him, Mark. Go get him, because we all know that this guy is wrong.
But I'll tell you what, I looked at it a little different way this time, because when this happens all the time, and sometimes the athletes, they don't know where it came from, and maybe it is false. I'm not saying every athlete does this, but the scapegoat is always our industry.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Every
Whether
time.
it was a mistake they made or they did it on purpose or whatever,
Yeah.
it always, every time it gets pointed to the supplement industry, and every time we take the blame, and every time it affects and it hurts our industry. So I looked at it this way. I said, okay, let me more represent the industry instead of being my normal self. Let me be professional as an industry should be and represent us as a whole, and see how we can prove this
That's
wrong.
an important
Yeah.
moment in our history.
Yeah.
I mean, whether even you know the repercussions of it now or not. I mean, you were like, for the first time in a very long time, that there was actually a stand-up company that said, oh, no. It was not us. It was not us. It was you.
Yeah.
Well, and plus, like, here are the receipts. Here's the years and years.
Yeah,
of,
here's all the regulations that apparently nobody thinks we have.
Yeah.
Here's all of it. Here's proof that it all exists, and I am not a bad actor, and that not everyone in this industry is bad actors. So you need to take that accusation and try again.
Well, you guys wanted to do podcasts a while ago, and I wanted to jump on that in a second, of course,
yeah.
but I said, let's do this the right way, because really it's every time. So I wanted to represent the industry as a whole and say, okay, we're not going to be the scapegoat. The industry is not going to be a scapegoat. Let's take this through and let's see what's going on.
It almost seems like on the other side of these athletes, their attorneys just have that in their back pocket as like a strategy. Like,
Yeah.
let's just
They're on
let's
regular.
move to the supplement
Wow,
industry,
let's-
and
Yeah.
let's find. We know that there's going to be some people that are somewhere screwed up somewhere. It's too easy to do, and they just happen to pick the wrong one.
Now, was there any legal action that at the time was taken against you guys or like the other company that he accused?
No, but
He
legal
just-
action be taken by anybody in the
Yeah.
for a long time from now.
He
So,
just
what's-
said that it was you guys. Like it was just an accusation without any kind of like reinforcement. It's like, oh no, it's just.
Oh no,
these
he
products.
had reinforcement. He had products sent to a lab, and he had to test it. Unfortunately, that lab wasn't ISO certified for testing dietaries.
wasn't?
Not for testing dietaries. A high quality lab, a great lab.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're certified more in clinical blood,
Okay.
urine, and hair, stuff like that. But they don't have an ISO certification in dietary supplements. So you have a product that has no chain of command. Nobody knows where it's been.
Right.
Maybe he didn't do it. I'm not even blaming him. Maybe he's had it on his counter and he had something else and he's using a scoop in between. It's a trillionth of a part, and maybe one of his friends took it and used a scoop and did it. So he could be totally in the right. It doesn't make any sense that he would even do this the day before the fucking fight.
It really does,
especially in such ridiculously small amounts.
Right.
Yeah.
It's absurd that he would do it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Now, when they checked his blood, was it at sufficient levels as though he may have been doping?
No, it's just like a trillionth of a.
No, that was our
In the product.
okay.
So there's a big difference in what was in the product versus what was in his blood or urine.
Right.
analysis.
Yeah, I'll let somebody else comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
I don't want to get involved in his part of it.
Fair.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm hoping he's a great fighter. He has a lot of issues. Maybe he didn't do any of this. Maybe it just got contaminated from somebody else's product or something, and he is innocent. So I don't want to attack him. I don't know what the hell he did.
Maybe
all
it's
I
in
know
his-
is my product didn't have it in there.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you feel about like Certified Sport and NSF and these other certification bodies?
They're good. I agree with them. In this case, it wouldn't have helped because his testing level, and only one person in the industry came after me about that, but the test level that came out in the supplement that they tested on us was way under what any of the NSF or anybody else tests for.
Their detection limits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if this would have become a big thing and it wasn't my product, it would have changed the whole industry, because now every NSF certified product, and I don't talk bad about NSF, this has nothing to do with them, but every athlete who's taking that product, would be
Right.
like, holy shit, this product tested and these specifications are up here, and this
Right.
so it would have stopped that whole thing.
And even
in
if that
day one.
product was like NSF certified for sport, because those detection limits are high.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So every one of those products
have
from
to-
all these agencies that's certified would be dead in the water.
Right.
Everybody would have to be
would
called.
ruin their
every
credibility.
Every athlete, every school taking would have sorry, we tested here, and now it's down to here. So
Everyone would have to change their detection limits, or what would happen there?
Who knows? They would have to change it, but they'd have to stop. It would have been a major freaking issue.
How do you feel about them in general? Because you don't have any NSF or anything like that, but you do your own auditing here, and it's probably just as strenuous, if not more.
Well, yeah, we've been audited, I think, 6 or 7 times by the FDA, probably more than any company out there. It started back in 2004. We were actually we were audited under CFR 211, which is pharmaceutical, because we had post-op and pre-op products in hospitals. So when CFR 111 started here, we were one of the first to get audited, and we've been audited a lot. We haven't even had a 483 in 6 or 7 years off of these. So not a single 483.
I was going to ask you that. Like, had you ever gotten a 483?
Yeah, 483 is easy to find. They have a form that has 3 places on it. An auditor is here for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're going to fill that form out. And they can find one hole in a wall. And, well, you can't have cross-contamination. You have to have rodent control, but we found this hole in the wall. And they'll give you a 483, which just means, hey, we found a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And there could be cross-contamination. Fix it in the next few weeks and let us know how you fixed it. Unfortunately, if you look at that 483, it doesn't say that detail. There's other documents that do. The 483 will just come up and say, you are not preventing cross-contamination as CFR 1.110. So it looks like it looks bad, but it might not be.
Right.
So we just decided we're not going to get any for. We're going to get this thing as perfect as we can. And that's what we strive for. We just had a Eurofins CFR 111 audit, and I don't know what the final will be. I think you have to get a 70% to fail, and we all said we get a 70%. If we get a 90%, we failed. We got a 95%, we failed. And when he left here, he said we had 100% compliance. He might look over his notes or something, but I mean, that's who we are as a company. We want to be compliant in every aspect. And what's interesting is we call, the term is CGMP, Current Good Manufacturing Processes. We call BGMP, Beyond Good Manufacturing Processes, because we go way beyond what the CFRs require. And that puts us in a bad predicament when the FDA comes to audit, because they audit what they require under the CFRs, but they say whatever you do in your process has to be identical every time you manufacture. That's how you start and finish with the same thing. So we say we're going to test every finished product instead of cycle testing, and that's in our SOP. They will audit us for that, even though it's beyond what they require, because they have to audit our processes. So they will look at those SOPs, and they will be hard on areas that they don't even look at anybody else on.
So there's more variables for opportunities for any sort of discrepancy, because you have more things that you're doing than what is required.
Yeah, in a lot of areas. That's why we changed the fun name to BGMP, Beyond.
Do you have like a fun attitude whenever an FDA auditor comes and maybe they're new and you're like, ooh?
No, but it's kind of weird. Like you get to this point, like, hey, they haven't been here, and you start to sweat a little. Like, oh shit, they're coming soon. Every single time they've come, and somebody says FDA's here, I'm like, oh wow, cool. I get excited. It's like a challenge. Except one time. One time the FDA came, and they walked to my office, and somebody says, the FDA's here. It was April Fool's Day. So I scream out, tell the FDA to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to deal with them today. Luckily, they didn't hear it. And it was the FDA sitting in my fucking lobby on April Fool's Day.
Damn.
And I screamed it out. I'm like, no, they're really here. They're not here. They're really here. They're not here. I look out my window. I see a black sedan. I'm like, they're not carrying this joke this far. Yeah. They were sitting, on April Fool's, they were sitting there, and I screamed that. So we've had, one time they came in, and our first GMP is that you have to go through disease control stuff at the front door. You're not allowed in.
Yeah.
And this was the first audit I ever had. So I went over. I was so excited. I skipped that. Didn't go over. Didn't sign. We sit down at the desk, and he says, do you have any disease control here? Yeah, of course you do. You didn't ask me about it. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So there's been fun times. There's been good times, fun times, but they've been tough. We've had some serious audits, and that's good. I think it cleans up our industry and makes manufacturers work harder.
Learning experiences.
Yeah, for me.
For everyone.
I think you're in a comfortable enough place where you can have like a good attitude or a sporting attitude about it whenever they show up and be like, all right, how you doing?
Yeah.
Come on in.
So you're also a current like MPA member, right? So like, what are you doing on like the policy front or?
No, I haven't been for a couple of years.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you're involved with now with trying to help with like litigation, or not litigation, but like policy legislation? That's the word.
I did when I was in the MPA, but I haven't for the last few years.
Okay.
Something I might get back into, but there's been so much involvement here that with the expansion, everything we're doing, I've had to focus inward.
He's occupied with this stuff. And plus, I mean, I'm not a political person, so like to me, I just don't want to deal with any of that.
Yeah, I did, going around to all the senators and Congress office and trying to get them to understand this and speaking to them. Yeah, I did that.
They're on too much of a rotation.
Yeah.
In that case, do we want to go into our segments?
It's up to you. Yeah, go on to.
So we have two segments we usually do where one is where we review a product. There's another one that we do where we review, I'm sure you're going to be excited about this, people on social media that are promoting certain supplements. And the segment's called That's Bullshit. So you review a video of people on the internet that are like, you need to try this product because it does X, Y, Z.
Okay. And you want my participation in these?
Of course we want your participation. That's why we're here. We're here so you have like a mini aneurysm and look at these people
We
selling
do try to
terrible
do like an
products.
mini investigation to determine sort of, what we think.
No, we usually put this up on a big screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we couldn't get that to go up this time.
And you got to use Face ID on this thing. And turn your brightness up.
That's true.
All the things.
All right. So, are you a big fan of TikTok? You a TikToker, Mark Glazier?
No, not much.
That's what makes this even better.
That's
boy.
usually where we go because that's where the most inflammatory stuff usually is.
Now, this one I was forwarded on Instagram, and I forwarded it to Eduardo. I was like, you need to keep this because we're going to use this on one of our bits.
It's got some good.
How do I start it over, Ed?
You can't just plug into the cord and put it right up here?
Oh, maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah.
What kind of cord is it? Does it have a USB-C?
Right there. Oh, I don't know what you have on the back there. You might not be able to. You have a small.
Is that USB-C or HD?
Probably gonna have to stay here. Let me bring it back up.
That one. You
Oh,
can't
okay.
do that in there.
Ed can just set up his laptop and do it.
Oh, cool.
All right, we'll do it real quick. Yeah, so the segment is we play a video and then we just determine whether or not it's bullshit, and then we kind of investigate and see what they're doing and why. And you've come to find out there's a lot of fly-by-night brands.
Oh, God. Yeah, so many.
It's insane. I mean, there was a time, maybe 5, 6, maybe more than that. Don't ever go by my years.
Yeah.
That I could name every brand and all their products. I knew it all. And these days, it's like, oh, you hear so-and-so closed up? And I'm like, who? Yeah, there's so many that open and close right now. I can't even follow it anymore.
Yeah. Well, some of these aren't even really brands. It's just people making a product or white labeling something, and
Oh, this should be fun.
yeah, they just make shit up. What was the other segment you wanted to do?
We were going to review a product, but I'm not sure which one to review.
Oh, yeah.
Review the energy drink.
Oh, yeah, it was this one.
Okay.
But you probably already saw this at Franchise Convention, huh?
I did. I didn't look at it. I didn't
I'd
see
never
what's
seen
in it.
these guys before.
Yeah, they're not such a small. They have a lot of stuff. I think they're based in Canada,
Really?
if I remember. Yeah.
What's it say on the back?
Southlake, Texas.
They're a Canadian company, I think.
I thought they were Canadian, yeah.
Southlake. That's near
That might be
Dallas.
their distributor who's bringing them in.
Or they're manufacturing it over there.
Anything good in it?
Well, my main complaints are they don't have coenzyme B vitamins. The flavors are great.
B6, B12. Yeah, I thought the flavors were great. For some reason, when I tasted this one, which I thought was great at the show, was really sweet for me.
Yeah, same.
Just maybe what I ate today, but it was really, I guess, standing on your feet all day.
Yeah.
It just was, they were right next to us. B12, do they have anything besides B vitamins and minerals in it?
On the actual ingredients panel, that's what you got right
That's
there.
all.
Do you have
Yeah.
the Liz? do you have the remote
160.
over
It
there?
says nothing in here other than vitamins, minerals, and caffeine.
Just want to make
That's
sure
pretty
the
much
volume.
it. And glucuronolactone for
I don't even see that on
what
here.
that's worthy.
I don't see that on here.
No remote.
On this side,
saw
that's where you got.
Oh, hold on.
That's the
That
details.
contains.
It's coming off my laptop.
I thought that was their ingredient panel. I missed this whole thing here.
I don't know. I've got plenty gripes about that label and nutrition facts
Well-
panel as it is.
This is a nutrition, so it's different than supplement. On supplement facts panel,
Yeah.
this, and I think it's on nutrition too. This has to be directly under or top to the right if it won't fit.
Well, and it's
So it has
also
to be-
got to be bigger than that.
It has to
Like,
be your facts panel, your ingredients, your warning for allergens, and then your manufactured by whatever.
Yeah.
Those all have to be.
so are your red flags going off?
No, I mean that's something nobody ever cares about, that it's out of order. Well, let me just see what's in there contains.
So you're saying
Filtered
that's not
water,
really
citric
policed?
acid. What's that?
It's not really policed that often.
No, that stuff doesn't make a difference. Who cares, you know? Yeah, you should have your warning right there where you can see it in case somebody has an allergen. But, you know, technically, and you won't see this anywhere, the shea, well, this won't happen because it's a food.
It's nutritional, yeah.
Yeah. But the DSHEA statement, the FDA has not, whatever, has to be on any panel that makes any claim. So the industry just puts it on one because you don't just put it here, here, and here. But there's all these crazy regulations. The worst are the flavors. So naturally flavored caffeine, this technically would have a hard time being called natural.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the flavor is rocket pop.
Right.
How do you have a natural flavor called rocket pop?
You don't.
So the FDA, it's what's required is for color. If I'm creating a strawberry and I use beet as my color and it's totally natural, organic, I can't call it natural.
Because it's a rocket pop and that's not a natural flavor.
Well, I'm saying like for strawberry, I'm using beet. It can't be. It's not a natural flavor.
I see.
It is natural, but it's not natural to the flavor I'm doing it. So now it becomes an artificial, and that's there to protect the consumer, but it doesn't affect the consumer because everybody who wants a real natural product is missing out on all of these products that they think, and it's the same with flavor. So you have, if it's to call it natural, it has to be natural to the product. Otherwise, it's a WOMF,
Yep.
right? So you have a natural and other natural, right? Or it's just, if it's just nothing natural to it, then it's really considered an artificial. So we changed it all on our labels because of all these fucking lawsuits, and all consumers are like, why did you switch and now you're using artificial? We didn't.
Yeah.
Because on the back here, what's strange, on the ingredients, it says natural flavor. And on the front, it says artificial. Confusing as hell, but we got to stick by the regulation.
Well, and like the sense of wants with other natural flavors, like beaver anus. We've talked about beaver anus several times on the show.
I don't know what he said, but I thought he said beaver anus. So
I
don't know
did
where
say
we're
beaver
going.
Exactly
anus.
what he said.
No,
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, did you know that a lot of natural flavors for
should be
strawberry
filming all this. This is good
specifically come from the anal glands of a beaver called the castoreum? It was originally like apparently figured out during the fur trade. Beavers go out in the wild, they eat a bunch of berries, they eat trees and all that
I feel like
stuff.
I'm one of those candid camera things where he's telling us and I'm supposed to react to, yeah, I knew that.
No, it's true.
I'm dead fucking serious.
I've never heard that one.
I've eaten beaver anus glands on the show before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to
I'm
find
glad
out.
we're not doing that today.
Could have brought you some. They have different kinds. Did you know that the beaver anal glands from like Michigan taste different from the ones from Russia?
I guess it's local water.
Local water, local flora, whatever it is.
Are you
But
ready? Are we
all
ready
of
to
them are
play
used
this?
for flavoring.
We're ready. We're rolling.
You just missed the funniest part of the whole thing.
Oh no, that recorded. It's
I
there.
want to hear more about that.
We've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Is it just beaver, or do they have other animals?
So apparently, like anything in like the beaver family, like badgers and wolverines, like they all have flavorful butts. I don't know.
Natural.
Well, I heard there's some coming from
Here's
cow
some
dung
bullet points.
that they're pulling out.
I feel like out of all the ones they sent, this is probably the most intense stim product.
Can you pause it?
Of the one.
So he's saying this is the most intense stem product that he got. So for context for viewers, we'll put this up on the thing. But there's a guy showing a pre-workout. He's saying it's the most intense that he got. And I guess he's talking about, I don't know if he's trying to sell it or not.
All right.
And the name is
From the bottom, we have 4 milligrams yohimbine. Just from that. But wait, there's more. Now, this is terrible to read. There are no lines on the supplement facts panel. So, like, this thing is peppered in red flags.
Oh yeah.
We got citrulline malate, 9 grams. God knows the ratio. 4 grams of beta-alanine. Third ingredient is 1 gram of licorice root. Apparently for the stems. 500 milligrams caffeine anhydrous. 300 milligrams of T-crine, spelled T-crine like the trademark, but it's not trademark T-crine. 250 milligrams of DMHA. 100 milligrams of dynamine. Another 100 milligrams of synephrine. 100 milligrams of synephrine. That is just ballsy.
Synephrine spelled wrong.
There's no I. Synephrine.
I thought there was a Y there.
Yeah, another 100 milligrams of holy basil. Wait, We have another 100 milligrams of
I
synephrine.
did just about to say that. You didn't notice that. One maybe is natural and one's HCl. Who knows?
That one's spelled correctly.
Yeah.
Then we got GBB,
What is that?
gamma butyrobetane.
No. What's under it?
Oh, SR 9009.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with SR?
No.
It's a SARM.
Oh, is it?
Like they straight up listed a SARM.
No way.
Yes. So SR 9000. And it's got a supplement facts panel. Like there are so many things. Like if anyone at FDA saw this, they would be like, I'm not gonna go arrest those guys because it's just too much fucking work.
So there's these minor details on a label, like the word supplement facts has to be written across the entire panel. It
Right.
can't be. So I guess they're not worried about the little details when they're putting SARMs in there.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
There's so much of this that is just like wrong.
I mean, it looks kind of cool.
It is the Terminator. It is on a very nice metallic blue chrome.
It's literally called Terminator, which probably is some sort of IP infringement.
I would guess so.
What do you think about this, Mark? Pure DMHA.
You ever think
when you see
Nutrabio
stuff
make a
like
product
this,
like that?
when you see stuff like this, Pure SR 9009. What is it? How does it make you feel?
I think these are the kind of companies that do the harm in our industry. These are those little guys. And sometimes you can't even blame this guy. He might be so small, he has no idea
Yep.
what he's putting in there. And
That
he
guy has
finds-
every idea what the fuck he's doing.
But somebody's manufacturing this.
Right.
So whoever's manufacturing this has a lot of problems because the manufacturer is responsible to make sure if that's labeled on the way out, it's labeled correctly, everything's followed. So these are the kind of products that I look at and say they hurt our industry.
Yeah.
Are we so lucky as to hope that they may have an address on this bottle? We'll spin that thing around.
Let's see.
No net weights, no servings.
Well, is it being sold in America? It could technically be like
The way
international.
that's labeled.
It looks like it's international. No, there's no address on there.
So yeah, if that's a U.S. label, then there's probably 50 things we can pull out on there.
Is that illegal?
What's that?
Selling it that way?
Go back.
Illegal versus I don't know if it's illegal, but it's
Yeah,
a
but
it's a supplement
good.
that the FDA can say you can't put on the market.
Yeah.
Is that
So-
the same one? Yeah. Yeah.
Would you get arrested for it? No. So,
Oh, I
but
saw
does it follow regulations? No.
English and Polish. So it looks like they're selling this internationally.
Well, actually, to have the SARM in there, that's a major problem.
Right.
Yeah.
If it were truly to have the SARM in it or just to market
Yeah,
it.
well, that's when you look at a product like this, you don't know whether they're actually putting it in there or they're just saying they're putting it in there. I don't want to put this guy down. I don't know anything
Right,
about it. I'm
right.
talking about in general. When I
Yeah.
look at a product like that, I'm like, is he putting it in there?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not. So then he can get arrested for putting it in there, but then it's not in there. So then he just gets a slap on the wrist for faking the advertisement and having a bad label and have to recall it. It's so,
I know some
Yeah,
guys who've
it's
done
some
some
weird
stuff like
shit.
that before.
Right.
I know a few, a lot.
The other thing is
Not to
SR
mention-
9009 is one of the SARMs that is supposed to like cause some retinal damage, and people have like lost their vision from it.
That's how you know it works.
It's just like moonshine.
I don't know. We had one of our new sales guys out on the road for the first time, and the first store he went into happened to have an FDA rated for SARMs last week, or at least the FDA was.
Did he walk in while it was going on?
Yeah.
Oh, what
Welcome
joy.
to the industry, right?
Holy shit.
But apparently they were clean, so everything was good.
All right, we got one more.
Kratos.
Kratos.
Creatine with K.
This is Kratos' creatine. It is the new science-driven method of consuming creatine. We've made it edible as opposed to drinking. The benefit comes down to convenience and speed while maintaining the increase in performance. Grab your bag for vintage muscle today.
I love how that video had like little miniature things that they.
The tiny columns.
That was just cheesy. That was just corny.
So he just randomly choosing these?
Well, we kind of
You saw the research they did on a lot of these where most of them were totally underdosed.
Yeah.
All these gummy creatines.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that they were underdosed. Some didn't have any creatine at all.
Right. Well, underdosed. Or no dosed.
Does it even say what? So it's creatine and arachidonic acid, huh?
Well, I can already tell you.
It's $67.
Is there an ingredients panel on this?
Nope.
Is this all? Are these U.S. brands?
Well, we try and figure that out. Like,
Are they sold in the U.S.?
You can technically buy it off of TikTok in the U.S. So yeah, you can buy it off TikTok Shop, I think. That's where we think that there's. That's why we talk about it and try and bring awareness to just like there's just so much going on.
No way.
New Jersey, U.S.
Ooh. Contact us.
This Mark's neighbor.
Nope.
Salt Lake City. Of course, it's Salt Lake City.
Those guys love getting sensational about their products, don't they?
Salt Lake City is the hub of multi-level marketing, and multi-level marketing is all dietary supplements back in the day.
Yeah.
That pushed their whole industry.
They're a very strong, influential epicenter of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I just don't like how amped they get on their own stuff.
A lot of multi-level marketing. And
So this is.
Yohisin.
I can tell you that's methylphenephrine right there, which
But-
is not a compliant ingredient.
you're talking about by the structure.
Yeah. Did any of these have ingredient panels? None of them. So I can't find out the supplement facts on this website. Scroll up. Is there anything? You're going too fast. Superior strength, fast delivery, rapid recovery time.
The superior strength twice.
By the way, that review is
They
the
just
same
li-
one
they
as
just
on
list
Kratos creatine.
yeah, it is the same one. So they just fake.
A lot of
stuff,
these
yeah.
review sites are all fake. They're pushing their own.
Yeah.
Androstenedione. That's a clever move. I've done that move before.
Demigod.
Do you know what that
density.
means, right? It means
like-
it's DHEA. It's another word for DHEA.
Oh, I thought it was like a pro hormone.
So are all these like little gummies?
You remember the phase when nobody had amino acids in their products anymore? They used the chemical name for it, and everybody's like, "Wow, what's that?" And it was just leucine.
Just
and
like
lysine.
this right here?
No way.
That's all this is. Like this is just a fancy way of writing DHEA. Congratulations.
What else is in it?
FDA.
However,
FDA. Okay, so now we know that it's a good product.
oh yeah. That is a badge that says it's manufactured in an FDA registered facility, which is like
There you go.
entry level.
And made in the USA.
Now, was that on your open corporates of Salt Lake City? Was that on there?
Yeah, it's on in here.
So you know this is not manufactured in the USA. That's a big error. Everybody thinks packaged in the USA is manufactured
That is
in
a
the
huge-
USA.
yeah.
Yeah.
So explain that a little bit.
Those could be huge lawsuits in the future.
Do
It's not even here.
your products say made in the USA?
It'll say made in the USA or made in the USA with ingredients sourced worldwide.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have ingredients, 99.9% of amino acids are not made in the USA. There's only a couple companies who use it,
Right.
who manufacture it. It's not a lot of it's not even in dietary supplements. So these companies will package it in the USA and say made in the USA, and that's not legal.
Do you think that that's going to be a problem that eventually comes to bite us in the ass as far as so many of these like chemicals that are being made overseas and not being made here, especially considering like COVID
Well,
and the
it-
supply chain crisis?
It totally fucks our economy. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't make any of this stuff here anymore. So all of the manufacturing of these materials have gone over to China, and that's really bad. But everybody says if it's made in China, you shouldn't use it. They make fun of it, but it's up to the manufacturer, and you see how we do the testing.
Yeah.
I don't care where it's made. I'd prefer if it's made in the USA, I'm going to buy it. So even when I'm redoing this facility, that whole new protein line is all going to be manufactured here in the USA. So whatever I can get here, I want to support my country. But the problem is most of these aminos and stuff aren't made in the USA. They're made other places. Once you get to that level and it's not made here, then it's up to you. You got to make sure you test it, every possible way to make sure it is exactly what it's supposed to be.
I looked up creatine recently as far as who manufactures creatine, and there's only one company in the entire world that is not in China that makes it.
Who is that?
Who do you think? The only company that you use who's not from China
Only company that I use?
for creatine?
No.
Creapure, Allscam?
Oh, I thought you were talking about U.S. manufacturing.
No, there are none. There are no U.S.
There is a
creatine
claim right
manufacturers.
now. I don't want to say who it is. Who's claiming that his creatine is made in the USA, and we got an offer to purchase it and said made in the USA.
But I doubt that very highly, because if you get all right,
So
is
you're
it-
gonna go
is
on-
it
you're
is it
gonna
creatine
qualify that?
monohydrate?
It's creatine monohydrate made here in the USA.
You have to go qualify that
I don't know how I would.
I don't believe that.
I'll
Not
tell
for a
you. I'll
minute.
tell you who it is afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
But no, there's only one company in the entire world that's not from China that makes creatine,
Germany.
and they're in Germany. And frequently, especially during the times of COVID, that they will source from China if they need to, or outsource it to them. And that's not an uncommon thing. And it's because in China, the way that it's made by synthetic synthesis, it causes a lot of pollution because one of the ingredients that's used in it is this stuff called cyanamide, and there's pollution limits that the Chinese government puts on these facilities.
There's pollution and energy limits.
Yes.
The process of making creatine takes a lot of energy.
Yep.
So when China had both of those, creatine got really shut down. Plus, one of the main ingredients to create creatine is used in PVC piping,
Right.
which in China had a priority over sending creatine monohydrate to the U.S. That's why creatine at one point went from like $5 a kilo to $36 a kilo.
I was paying 36
in
back
a matter
then.
of 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the made in the USA thing, don't necessarily buy into that.
Yeah. We can go way down that wormhole. And a whole bunch on the compliance stuff on the backside of the label and why they do
Oh, yeah.
what they do. But we need to wrap this up because we got dinner at 7.
Okay, yeah, this is a little shorter than usual. We'll definitely have to do it again tomorrow. Or
Yeah.
not tomorrow, but like just some other time. We got to get more follow-ups from Mark Glazier and NutraBio.
Yep.
Whatever you need, guys.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy.
Oh yeah, I had a blast. So I really appreciate you guys coming down here and taking the tours and looking at what we do here. And I tell everybody we're open, so we're transparent. I let my competitors in here, anybody. I want them to see what we do here. And my customers can come and get a tour anytime. It's what we do. It's what we love. It's what we like to share. So I appreciate you guys sharing.
You're a man
with
of
us.
many passions. We didn't even get into tequila or all the many things that you do.
Yeah,
Good
there's
kid at heart.
There's a few things. I believe in the concept of work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work hard. I put in 60, 78 hours a week, and I love every freaking second of it. But when the time comes to play, I play harder than anyone.
Hell yeah.
Whether it's motorcycle riding or whatever I do, I do it to the extreme also.
Is that from you were a kid? Is it just the way you're raised?
It's always, the first day I went to martial arts when I was 6 years old, that was it for me. That was it. My head clicked, and I just did it every day, all day, forever. So when I find things I like, I stick with it.
Yeah. You're a man of deep passion and love, integrity and honesty.
Thank you.
You have your parking spot over there. It says reserved for Mark Glazier, but there's a bike stand there.
Well, that's embarrassing. I didn't put my name on my parking spot.
Someone
Actually,
else did?
the previous owners of this building put it up there.
Oh, really?
And gave us those spots because when he moved in, I said, hey, look, I know you want your customers up front, so I'll tell my guys not to park there ever.
Yeah.
Which was public. And to thank me, he gave me my own spot, made me look like an asshole for the last few years. Said, reserved for Mark D. Glazier, president.
So you put the bike rack there.
I put a bike rack there for all the staff.
I think that's a good display right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That or Mark rides his bike to work.
Motorcycle.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's go to some to eat.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Supp Works Podcast.